Hello, my name is Brianna Sinclair, and this is a video about how my family responded to me coming out as transgender. Um, on my channel, I post, as of right now, entirely transgender content and stuff like that regarding my timelines and other events in my life. If you like my content, please like, comment, subscribe. I would love to hear your feedback, and if you have any ways I could improve, I would love to hear those as well. And I would love to answer your questions. But let's get into the video. So initially, my family thought I was straight whenever I was a kid because I liked women and stuff like that. And then got, I broke up with one of my exes and got with my first boyfriend at the time. He was a cross-dresser and I didn't care. We actually went on a date and they were dressed entirely female, and that's exactly how our date went. I ended up breaking up with him because I did not like how I was being treated in the relationship. And I eventually found a woman who actually loved me, and that woman became my wife. Whenever I got with my boyfriend, I had to tell my family that I was gay. And they had a much easier time accepting that because they're like, okay, that's not really an issue. You're not going to ever have kids, but I mean, you can always adopt. And then whenever I met my wife, and a couple years into our marriage, I had to come out to my wife. She did kind of know a little bit, and even before I knew, she knew. It was kind of funny. So, whenever we first got together, are you eating my hair? Is that what you're doing? Please knock it off. Don't eat my hair. Get over here. Say hi, Fendi. But yes, I met my wife, and even whenever we first got together, she made me promise I wouldn't transition because she didn't think that she could be with a woman. And as of right now, we're making it work. And I want nothing more than to make our relationship work. And so, eventually, I told her that, like, yes, I do cross-dress at times whenever you're not home, because it makes me feel better in my own skin at times. And she was like, okay. She was a lot more accepting of it than I thought she would be. And then eventually it kind of got to the point where she sat me down and asked me if I was, and at the time whenever she asked me, I didn't fully know, but I was pretty sure. And so I told her yes, I was. And then I told her I still wanted to make our relationship work, and I want to go at her pace. She wasn't happy with that because she knew that I would be unhappy if we went at her pace. And I respect that because all she wants is for me to be happy, and all I want is for her to be happy, and we both just want to be with each other. So I doubt that my transition is going to be the end of us, so my wife has by far taken it the best. Definitely the best. I came out to my siblings, and most of my siblings. Two of them I couldn't tell because one was in high school and then one was in like junior high. And I agreed with my mother that they should be allowed to make their own decisions and that she didn't want me influencing them. And I respected her opinion. And I was like, okay, these are your wishes and I will abide by them. And because of that, I'm not really allowed to be around them until they graduate high school. And that was something I did have to accept. It wasn't easy because I love seeing my younger siblings, even though they're like sassy as all get out and mean at times, but it's something I had to accept. My older siblings, they didn't care. They wanted to hear why I thought the way I did, and they were like, okay. One of them did try to play devil's advocate, and he did end up getting drunk over the phone with me, and it became a little disrespectful at times, and I could tell that, like, his base opinion was that he doesn't care. But there is this deep down bit where it's like, I don't know if, I don't want to say that this is right for you. My grandparents, well, most of my grandparents have passed away, and the only one I've really got left is my grandmother on my father's side. And she didn't take it too well at all. We actually didn't talk for a long while because her last words to me were, behind the doors of the operating rooms, they call what you're doing mutilation, and I knew for a fact that that wasn't true. Because the doctors I had specifically done research on and planned to go to specialized in their fields of doing certain transgender surgeries and stuff like that, one of them being transgender herself. I planned to get my BBL with Dr. Delbeck. She has since passed away, and she was an incredible BBL doctor. And I am only sad that I won't be able to support her work, I guess would be the best way to do it. Because she was prior Navy, and so therefore a veteran, and she was transgender herself, so in my eyes she was a wonderful human being who even gave her transgender members a huge discount. She was an amazing woman, and I hope she's in a better place. My dad doesn't know. At least I haven't told him. I haven't spoken to my dad in 10 years because we didn't get along whenever I was a child. There was a lot of mental abuse and stuff like that within my household that I wasn't really up for. It's kind of the reason why I choose to be respectful towards everybody and I don't really like to play games with people because the mental abuse I did sustain in my dad's household. My mom took it really hard initially, but she's since come around. My father-in-law and his husband kind of knew and suspected, and they don't care. My mother-in-law knew, and my wife actually told her before she passed away as well. And she would kind of alter my name into this more like female version of it. And that's kind of how my wife kind of refers to me sometimes, as like the name that my mother-in-law used to call me. I haven't told anybody else in my family because I don't really care. One of my aunts did kind of rat me out a little bit. She kind of reached out to my mother and was like, "Do you know what your son is doing?" And that was whenever, like, on Facebook, I had changed my I changed my pronouns to she and her on Facebook, and started to post about my transition and my journey, me starting, like, going to counseling, how everything was going, and stuff like that. And because of that, I did kind of cut her off, because she does like to play these little mental games that I don't really play. I would just rather just not deal with that person if they're going to play games. I'll play a board game with you, but I won't play a mental game with you. It's kind of how I am. Yeah. And I don't think anybody else in my family really knows, and I don't care if they do, because I was happy I figured it out as an adult, because my family couldn't kick me out of the house. I could still be disowned, but I was a perfectly full functioning member of society who was perfectly capable of surviving on my own, with or without my family. I'm not dependent on them in any way. And that's the way I am as of right now. And that's kind of how I've always been. I never wanted to depend on anybody. I don't like owing people things. I don't like borrowing things. I hate being put in situations where I have to rely on somebody else. I would rather just do it by myself. Because if I can do it by myself, I could probably get it done faster, and I could guarantee my quality. But I don't associate with my family a whole lot. I talk to my mom a bit, and some of my siblings sometimes. But outside of that, I'm okay. My friends are really accepting of me coming out as transgender, especially those closest to me whenever I was growing up. Oh, you just want to go to sleep, that's what it is? Is that what it is? You just want to go to sleep? um, yeah, I've got numerous aunts and uncles that I haven't told, and I honestly don't care to. I know they're probably already know because my one aunt has a very big mouth and likes to spread other people's business. I don't care. She was my least favorite aunt anyway. But I do recognize like family reunions are still gonna be different because if I show up, I'm going to be decked out as a woman. I'm not gonna be wearing a t-shirt and jeans with some military boots that I got from high school anymore. I'm going to show up in makeup and a dress probably. But what's wrong with that? They're my family after all, and it doesn't matter what happens. I'm always going to be related to them. And because my relationship with them is already on shaky ground because I never really had like a good relationship with most of them, I don't really see an issue with distancing myself from them either. I had to distance myself from my grandmother for a little bit because she was being so disrespectful about my transition that, and she had a huge impact on my life. I spent almost every week with her from my entire life. And that was it. I have had like some of my friends kind of reach out and like try and date me. It's really weird whenever that happens, because I'm married. And there's this weird notion where some of my friends, we were planning like a reunion, a high school reunion, and they were worried about me trying to date other people. Like, I don't understand what you're talking about. I'm married. I have a wife. Why would I go after anybody else? Like, I don't go after other people behind my wife's back. What makes you think I'm gonna go out after people in front of my wife? It's ridiculous. Because I recognize that, sure, like, having that attention and stuff like that makes you happy short term, but, like, in the long term, you're gonna be alone. So, I'm choosing long term happiness, which is the easiest choice I've ever made with my wife, and to stay in my relationship and to continue to love and be loved by her. And that's why I don't understand about like cheating and stuff like that, because why would you trade what you have whenever it is so good for this one moment that could end it all? That's just my take on it. Other people may see it differently, and it's no disrespect towards like people who have open relationships and stuff like that. That's different. That is like permission. It's it's essentially verbal communication to the point where you have given permission for your partner to sleep with another person, knowing full well their feelings toward you and your feelings toward them are not going to change, and that you still want to be in the relationship that you're in. And it's the same thing that I justify with like swingers and stuff like that. I don't care about people's relationships, so I give them like the benefit of the doubt. The only person's relationship I care about is mine and my wife's, because they're linked. In many ways, I still have a lot of people to come out to, but at the same time, I don't have to come out to anybody. I don't have to tell anybody that I'm transgender. I could literally show up to my family reunion and they could wonder, like, who is that? Who is that person that looks like this person, but I'm not sure? And then I'd be like, oh. And then whenever they ask, I'd be like, hey, I am this person's daughter. I am transgender, so I was their son. I have transitioned to be their daughter. And I would hope they'd be accepting of that. If they're not, that is their problem, not mine. I'd be more than happy to leave any family reunion I go to, because they all end up in fights anyway. So why would I want to go in the first place if I know it's going to end up in a fist fight? But anyway, that is how my family has taken it so far. I can give you updates if you'd like. This was a video that was requested, and I was obliged to do it. So yes, it is hard initially for your immediate family, but if you ease them into it and give them time, they eventually do come around. I imagine if I had been living with my mom and told her, hey, I want to transition, I wouldn't have heard the end of it until I completely abandoned the notion that I needed to transition. And even then, once I left the house, I probably would have transitioned anyway. But this is the honest truth. Because I was so worried about losing my wife, I did everything I could to kind of ease her into the idea, and part of that was us going clothes shopping for clothes for me that were feminine, getting me leggings, skirts, letting her see me in those clothes as a certain way. She was even curious about it, and she bought me like all my shapewear, really. She bought me breast forms and stuff like that to figure out if I would like to have them, and yes, I don't wear my breast forms now because I only wear them like in private. I feel like wearing them in these videos is a little dishonest and disrespectful to my audience in a way, because I'm not trying to fool or hide anything from you guys. And this is mostly for me anyway. So I can see like, hey, I'm still pretty flat. And then when I look back at it, a year from now, months from now, I can be like, I remember being that way. She bought me my breast forms, my hip padding, my butt padding, and most of it, like my hip pads and my butt pads, I wear almost on a daily basis to give me the shape that I want and to kind of like help fill out my body into the way I would like it to be. I'm kind of restricted and limited on the clothing I can wear because of it, but it's still, it still helps. And it helps make me feel more feminine. And each step and each thing I did, me easing my wife into it was me asking her opinions about it, sending her little emojis and stuff like that, where it was like two girls kissing. She honestly didn't know that that's what I was sending her until her phone told her that I sent her some emojis with a girl kissing another girl. She kind of just thought it was just a general kissing emoji. And we talked about it, and she was okay with it. She actually thought it was funny because I'd been doing it for a long, long time, almost a year. But that was how my family took it. And so far, I haven't really lost anybody. Especially not my wife, the person that means the most to me. Because I recognize, yeah, my family's always going to be there. But she's not. And I need her to know that I love her for who she is, and I want her to love me for who I am. And that's what I wanted. And I found that in her. She loves me exactly the way I want to, and me realizing I was transgender terrified me because I had finally found this person. My person. And then something else came along like it always does, and threatened my whole world. I knew I had to pursue it in order to be happy, so I did. And that's where I'm at. Anyway, this is Brianna Sinclair signing off. If you would like to support my channel, please like, comment, subscribe. Ask questions. Feel free to ask anything you'd like. I only ask that you be respectful in it. But yeah, live free, be happy, be bold.